Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to make a book review walkthrough and going through my notes on a particular video. So I've been doing a lot of reading recently. I've been reading for about 2 hours per day, both in the morning, during the day, during my breaks from my 90-minute focus sessions. I bought a Kindle Oasis. I've always been a massive fan of paper books, and as much as I'm a technology person and quite nerdy, I always love paperback books, and I have a collection next door, but I've really fallen in love with the Kindle. I've finally been converted. Just the sheer convenience of being able to highlight, to take notes, and it automatically syncs over to Notion. For anyone who's interested, there's a plugin called Readwise that you just connect your Amazon account to, and it will automatically sync your notes over into Notion. It actually shows up like this, so it puts a nice little image of the book itself, of the cover, and it gives you all this interesting information, the number of highlights that you have. So just by simply like touching your finger over a specific area of text, it will automatically be pulled into my Notion system. And from there, I actually turn this into notes, and I will categorize these based on if it's about productivity, mindset, whatever it may be. I have centralized databases on each specific subject that I'm interested in. So from each of my books that I read, which are the data sources, I will categorize it into areas. So each different subject has all of the best research that I have on each particular subject, and it's accessible to me at any time. And that way, if I work on a particular task, I can just with one click add in all of the knowledge that I've ever collected on a particular subject, and it's very easily accessible to me. So in here, you will find all of the notes and highlights that I made in this particular book, and then only the ones that I really will actually make it through into my final knowledge vault, which is basically a category that has all of my best thinking in each particular area. Just before we go through a review of the 5 a.m. club, before we go through my notes of the 5 a.m. club, I'll just give my very quick thoughts and opinions. I recommend reading it. I've been following the protocol myself for about a week and a half now, and I'm feeling really good. Not just from that, there's a few other changes that I've made in my life, which I try to make one change at a time so I can actually track where the improvement is coming from. I've gone over 30 days now, no masturbation, and I think that is having I always feel good whenever I cut masturbation out of my life, and just pornography in general. I think it makes sex less enjoyable, for me anyway. So to cut it out completely is a good move. I'm feeling really good. I think that has part of an aspect, is part of the improvement. Number two, I've really cleaned up my diet and also performed a load of blood tests, and also I'm doing quite a lot of exercise. At the moment, so I'm losing weight, and generally I feel I have much more energy, and I'm feeling good, both positively and physically. I'm getting both mentally and physically. I'm feeling much stronger. I'm also losing fat at the same time, and in mindset wise, I'm feeling really good. And that is also to do with this 5 a.m. protocol. By waking up and setting aside a few hours, sort of uninterrupted time in the morning for me to get a head start on the day, it really does makes you feel good. I don't follow protocols like this all year round, mainly because the only negative I find is that it has a negative impact on your social life. I will say no to most social events because I want to be in bed by 9 o'clock. I will read for half an hour, 45 minutes, and then it's lights off and I'm asleep. So I will utilize this throughout the year. Probably for 6 to 9 months, I will generally try to structure my life, and then I'll give myself a bit more leeway, usually in the summer, or if I'm abroad somewhere. So anyway, the negative about this book, though, the positive is that it contains it does contain good information. The idea there is really quite good, and I agree with the principles. I've implemented them in my own life, and I'm seeing positive improvements. So the information there is good. The negative of it is the book waffles on for ages, sort of like what I'm doing now. But I felt like, I don't know, 75% of the book could literally just be wiped out. There's a whole storyline going on, and I was sort of reading along thinking, okay, maybe there's some hidden message in the story that you sort of have to follow along with in order to understand something. And if I don't read the storyline, am I going to miss something? The answer is no, you're not. You can sort of skim through the whole storyline, and it's just sort of filled up with a lot of, I don't know, unnecessary information. And at the very end of the book, there's this gold section of just real information and notes just being given over a couple of page period, and that was the most informative part of the book. Otherwise, I really did feel you're sort of fishing for the nuggets of information, like you're really searching for quite a lot of unnecessary text to really get the important information. Fortunately for you, I've already invested the time in reading everything, and I've taken all the notes out already, which I will share with you. And for anyone, there's a sort of storyline. Basically, there's an entrepreneur and there's an artist, and I thought that I'm still not sure actually if this was some type of symbolism where the entrepreneur symbolizes the rational part of the mind and the artist in the story symbolizes the more creative, more spontaneous side of the mind. And that it could even have been like symbolism that they were showing that both sides of your mind, no matter what type of person you are, can benefit from this type of protocol. That may have been the reason for it, but regardless, I still felt that there was a lot of information there that could the whole storyline could have just been removed completely. Generally, I like books that are quite to the point, and that's also the same problem I have with the lean startup. Actually, for a book that is meant to be about lean development and lean startups, right? Having lean businesses, it's not a lean book at all. It's really quite bloated, actually. Regardless, enough moaning from me. Let's just go through my notes, and these are points that are sort of taken out. So this video is also as much for me as it is for you. I often find, like, when I'm absorbing information, I generally read quite quickly and I'm just flooding my brain with like information. So I actually need to go through it about a week after I finished reading something, just to go over the key notes and just sort of remind myself of some of the information that is. So yeah, these are the points that I've taken out that I felt most interesting. Like I said, this is all synced over automatically. Anytime I highlight something, the plugin that I use is called Readwise, and it will sync over directly to Notion. I believe they have a few other integrations as well with Evernote. I think it was, that you can play around with as well. So first point, world class begins where your comfort zone ends. This would almost be a sort of motivational thing. Like, as much as I feel I push myself out of my comfort zone, there are often situations, for example, when I sold my company recently, it was a decision that I should have made much sooner. And now I can sort of reflect back on it and think, actually, it was because it would have taken me out of my comfort zone. I was in quite a comfortable situation there. You know, I'd spent ages working on this company. I had an income from it. Everything was like stable, but on the inside, I wasn't feeling so satisfied, let's say, and I was having no personal growth at all from this business. So I was too comfortable. So even as an entrepreneur, I know most people, when they think of their comfort zone, from what I feel anyway, they're scared to make the leap from the 9-to-5 job into entrepreneurship. But even as an entrepreneur, it's really quite important to keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. You know, for me, success is in progression and growth as an individual. If you're constantly improving yourself and you're able to deliver more value to people, the money comes anyway. Like it sort of takes care of itself, right? As long as you're making sure that you are able to deliver a lot of value to businesses, to people will pay you based on the amount of value that you can deliver to them, or you can create businesses based on the amount of value and knowledge that you have. So as long as you're constantly developing and improving as a person, for me anyway, I truly believe that the financial aspect takes care of itself. Then another quote that I really liked, Warren Buffett said, "The rich invest in time, the poor invest in money." I really like quotes like this. I'm so focused on time optimization, and it's why I'm so focused on productivity as well in these focus sessions, because it's a way of me being able to buy back my life. And often when I'm talking about sort of investing in things that you use every day to improve your life quality, or things that make you work more productively or enjoy your work more, time is the only thing that we're not able to buy back, right? It is the most precious thing that we have. And we don't very rarely do we really think about death or the fact that we have a really limited amount of time. People I just generally don't talk about it. Maybe they look at it as a negative subject, but I don't know. I find it sort of quite motivating to think that I want to make the most of the time that I have available. No matter how rich you get, okay, like now people are starting to look into reversing the process of aging, but we're not able to buy back like time of whilst we were at like a younger age. So for me, these are some of the prime years of my life. You know, you're never as young as you are right now. So of course, this is like the best time for me to be alive. And it makes sense for me to have as much free time independence as possible. The things that I've realized that really matter to me are financial independence, financial freedom, location freedom, and time freedom. All of my life goals and aspirations generally fall within those three categories: financial freedom, location freedom to be able to be where I want, financial freedom to be able to buy what I want and go wherever I want, do whatever I want, and time freedom to be able to choose what I invest my time in. Like I spent a lot of time thinking about this as part of my yearly review, and that's basically what I settled on. Again, another quote here: if he fails elegantly. Those who do not like attempt new things, they do not know victory nor defeat. They're just stuck in sort of limbo, which you sort of see so often. And I often think of people who are sort of stuck in a 9-to-5 job, still stuck inside the matrix, if we will. A lot of people, in my opinion, are going through life and they're not playing to win. They're just playing not to lose. As long as they're not in last place, as long as they're doing better than some people in life, they're happy. I can't live like that. I want to be in position number one. And even if I don't make it there, even if I fail, at least I've failed daring greatly, pursuing a dream. There's like a poem someone was reading to me. This is turning into such a weird video, actually. There's a poem someone was reading to me the other day, and or someone sent to me the other day, sorry. It was a Dutch poem. I can't remember the full name of it. Perhaps someone will know, but there was a line in it, and it was about a man who grew old, looking at his life, sitting down on a park bench. And there was just a particular phrase in it that the only thing he achieved of all his childhood dreams is growing old. And that to me is like such a scary thing, right? Fortunately, I've actually achieved some things in my life already that I'm quite happy with, but I would rather like fail miserably, but knowing that I did it, pursuing a goal, something that I really wanted, rather than going through life in such a timid fashion, not pursuing anything, not winning at anything, but also not failing at anything. You're just literally stuck in the middle, really not doing anything. And there are people who go through life like that. Again, talking about being around like the highest quality people, again, something I completely agree with. I try to surround myself with high quality people who are going places. I've said before on this channel, you become a mixture of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Be very ruthless about who you let in your circle, who you spend time with. And I'm also very focused on like investing in like the best tools and the best things around me to allow me to do the best work. For like a mattress, something that I use every day, I have like the best mattress that I could find, so I get the best night's sleep I possibly can every night. With food, I will always like invest money in health and education. They're the 2 things I will give myself an unlimited budget on, because like food, you're putting inside you are becoming what you put inside your body. Your body is using the nutrients from the food that you eat to fuel your system. And of course, I want my body to be running on the best possible fuel that I can give it. And the same for education, what I'm feeding my mind. I want to be giving my mind the best possible information that I can. With like the tools, I will always go for like a maxed out top spec laptop. Anything that I spend a lot of time doing, I will put money into it. and I will see return on investment from it. You don't always have to look at return on investment as seeing a financial return on investment. Like, again, what we were talking about just now, buying back time by having a fully spec'd out laptop. It means I don't spend any time waiting around. And these microseconds, they completely add up. Same with a router. Again, this is a little tip I've mentioned before, but buy the best router that you can, that you can find. You know, if you're sitting around, these microseconds that you spend waiting for websites to load every day, if you put them into a time calculator and you calculate over 10 years, 25 years, how long you're going to spend waiting for web pages to load, whatever it is, you're wasting a huge portion of your life. And it's quite scary, actually, if you put it into those calculators. So, and here again, another quote: victory is made in the early morning when no one's watching and everyone else is sleeping. And I really would push that quote forward as well. Like, when no one else is watching, what are you doing? That is when that's the type of person that you are. When no one else is watching, there's no one to put on a show for. What are you doing? Like, how do you actually spend your time? And I think that's a very big reflection of who you are as a person. You know, like, if I'm up early doing like a workout, working in like a focused state of mind, like, yeah, when no one is watching, what are you spending your time doing? And also, yeah, that you achieve victory whilst everyone else is sleeping. And it's almost a bit of a smug feeling, to be honest, to know that you've got a lot of stuff done whilst people are still in bed. You do feel that you have a real head start on the day. Another interesting quote: if everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough. I think it was the founder of LinkedIn who actually said this, that if they release a web page and it doesn't have any spelling mistakes, it means they didn't release as fast enough. And I think that's more of like a sort of a startup state of mind, to, you know, build quickly and break things, move quickly and break things, you know, fix later, just keep momentum going, keep pushing stuff out, especially in early stages of a startup. And then another thing about the book is there's also quite a lot of elements that I felt were taken from Atomic Habits. I'm not actually sure which book was published first, but I'm a massive fan of Atomic Habits, actually. It's one of my favorite books, and I will often actually go back to it and reread it each year. But there's a lot of points about the sort of compounding effects of daily improvements, which are completely true. I won't go into any detail. If you are interested in exploring it and you haven't read Atomic Habits, I would recommend that. Is like the sort of go-to book on compound effect of making like tiny improvements throughout your day. Really, really good book. And then another interesting quote: rest and recovery isn't a luxury for anyone committed to mastery, it's a necessity. Really, really, I just couldn't agree more with this. I've burnt myself out so many times, and now I've completely adjusted my schedule, actually taking inspiration from this book. So I will do a 90-minute sprint, a 90-minute, not sprint, sorry, focus session is what I've come to call them. So like AirPods Max go on, I made a different video on like my productivity tools and my workflow. I'll put on Brain FM. I block out everything. I have a set task in mind, and 90 minutes is just focused on nothing aside from completing that task. And I'll get it done no matter what it is. Once I have my mind on it, I will get the job done. Then I will go and take a break for 60 minutes, come back to the next task, take another break, completely refresh my mind, often go out and get some fresh air, drink a coffee, whatever it is. And you really do feel a sort of a reset. And I will, during that 60-minute period, I will also have in my mind what the next task is that I'm coming to complete. So you're almost giving yourself a sort of priming. If I'm building whatever it is, my next task is, I will start tackling in my mind how I'm going to approach and how I'm going to solve the particular problem, what the best way to approach the solution is. So when I sit down at the desk, headphones on, music is on, I'm straight in the zone, and I've already got an idea of how to actually go about solving the problem. Another great quote: victims have big TVs, leaders own large libraries. Yeah, I like that one quite a lot. So, and then another one: stop managing your time and start managing your focus. This, I actually spoke about this quite recently, but I used to just sit in front of a laptop 18 hours per day, thinking that was a productive way of working, and it just isn't. you feel that you are working hard because you're tired and like you've been sitting there all day. You think that this must be productive, but it really isn't. Number one, it just doesn't. Your mind is not able to concentrate on intense tasks for that long. You will also, your mind just has a limited amount of CPU, of brain power that you can assign to tasks per day, which is why I will try to structure my day as I currently am, is that I will take care of my like highest goals, which currently are like fitness and like education, like expanding my mind even further. So the first thing I do in the morning, 20-minute workout. Second thing I do is reading for 20 minutes. And it means that I've like got that out of the way. Then I'll actually go and do another workout in the gym for like an hour. With the first workout is more of like a yoga session. But I would start sweating. So it is a workout. And then the first task that I do of the day will be like the most important one. And I'm only working 4 hours per day, 90 minutes, 60 minutes. And the last 60 minutes is like a sort of cool down period. I'm winding down my tasks for the day. I'm going through anything that sort of needs my attention that I can finish off very quickly. But I find that I'm feeling so productive. I'm pushing out exactly what I need to and prioritizing on the things that I need to, because I'm limiting my time, and I don't have any feeling of burnout whatsoever. Whereas before, every day I would be sitting in front of this laptop, in front of this screen, until I was at the point where I felt I have to go to sleep. I would then wake up in the morning, have a shower, sit down and do it all over again. And there's no way of living. The whole of last year, I wrote down my yearly review of the things that I was most happy with that I did last year. One of them was spending a month in Portugal with my friend, his girlfriend, and her friend. And I had a great time out there with my best friend that I hadn't seen in 2 years. And then I also went back to London and spent a few weeks with my family. That was another thing that I really appreciated doing. I did like a few trips away in other places, like in Georgia. Selling my company was another massive like high for me. And then there were like a few other like little bits and pieces. But actually all of those things I could have completed within 2 or 3 months. So for the other 9 months, I realized all I did was sit in front of this computer, just mindlessly working. And there's nothing wrong with that, because of course you need to earn some, like you need an income, and I enjoy working on things. But sitting 18 hours per day in front of a computer working on stuff there's no balance and there's no satisfaction there. Like I can promise you, like at the early stages, if it's needed to be done to get a startup up and running, it's fine. But over the long term, I've caused myself health problems previously. I used to suffer from such bad cluster headaches where the whole side of my head would just be like, it's like a migraine, like all the side of my head going down to my neck. And it was something to do with just being at a computer for too long, spending too much time there. And as soon as I reduced my hours, I started to feel like much better. And of course, like you don't want to feel that for like the best years of your life, they were just wasted in front of like sitting at a computer. Because what happens with me as well is even now I forget which day of the week it is. I have absolutely no idea, except I've just checked now, it's Monday. Because I work every single day. I work 7 days per week. The weekend or a different day of the week has no bearing. It has no impact on my life at all. So I've just literally stopped tracking it. Not out of intention. It's just something that's happened. And I always realize that I've got no idea what day of the week it is. And days just sort of blend into one another when you're in the same environment the whole time and there's no real change. It's very easy to fall into habits, and it can be negative habits, right? Of you cannot remember. If you spend all your time in the same room sitting at a laptop working on tasks, I can't remember a vast chunk of my life, several months of like last year, because that's all I did. I couldn't tell you what I worked on. Other than that, I was in here working on something, and it is not a good way to live. So that's like something that I'm actively like fighting against now and making sure that I don't do. I don't want to spend another prime year of my life spending 18 hours in front of a laptop each day. So that was quite a off topic, but anyway, yeah. And this is another like there are some really good like knowledge points in here, but I've had to really like dig these out to actually get them. So work on one high value activity at a time instead of relentlessly multitasking. Personally, I think that is some of the best advice that you can give anyone. For me, multitasking does not exist. Maybe like you disagree with me. However, I would just encourage you. I used to think that I was multitasking and I would have like 100 different tabs open, thinking that I was so, I don't know, like someone out of like one of these movie scenes, like these very fake hacking scenes where you're working through 100 different tabs at the same time. It just doesn't exist. Now I limit myself to a maximum of 4 active tabs at any time. I shared a Chrome plugin that allows you to achieve that. And I work on one task and one task only. Anything that comes in that needs my attention at any point, I'll hit Command J, create a task, which brings up my Slapdash integration, and I'll note it down. And that way I will free up my brain's CPU, my processing power in my brain to be able to focus on the task that is at hand, which is why Slapdash is just such a great tool. It allows me to note down anything. Another little tip for you, the brain can only hold 7 pieces of information in short-term memory. And even then it's like questionable. So whenever something comes in your mind, sort of like freeing up RAM on a computer, that's what I mean when I'm talking about freeing up your brain's CPU, your brain's processing power. Write it down. So, and that's why, again, the Notion system is so good. I am constantly relieving my brain of information to free up space for me to think, rather than needing to remember all these little micro things that I need to do, things I have to remember, little tasks, things that I would like to achieve. I just write it all down, and I know that it's in my Notion system and I can go through it whenever I want. So yeah, I highly encourage you, even if you think that you're a great multitasker, just please try out this method of working. Have a focus session on one task and just get it done, and then move on to the next one. You just need to take small, consistent steps on completing the most important tasks for you, rather than sitting there working on loads of different things at once and you sort of end up getting nothing done. Have very, very intense sessions of getting tasks done. But now I only aim to get 5 tasks done per day. Even if I do 3 per day, I consider it a productive day now. If I get 3 important tasks, high value tasks done, it has been a good day for me. And before, I would think that I'm knocking out like 15 to 20 tasks per day. I'm not. My brain, it can't do it. Like, as much as I'm motivated enough to do it, I just cannot concentrate deeply enough for such a long period of time on actually getting things done. And I will just go into a sort of state of not being able to focus. Maybe some people are different. Maybe some people are able to do it. But in my experience, this has been like such a positive improvement for me. So another interesting point as well, personal discipline is a muscle. The more you stretch it, the stronger it grows. And this is something that I like completely believe in as well. I will go through, let's call them stages, where I'm a very black or white person. I am either 100%, I'm all in and I'm obsessed, or I'm 0. It's just the way I am, the way my personality is. So I will go through states of life of being so disciplined towards things, and then other states of life where it just doesn't exist at all. So, and I completely agree that like discipline is like a muscle that you absolutely grow. And if you don't keep working on it, same as like physical muscles, the muscle will deplete. But then the same way that you have a sort of muscle memory in your physical muscles, I find that once I'm back in the stage of it and exercising my discipline, I will get back into the previous stage that I was really quite quickly. So this is something I've actually been noticing a lot personally as well. So with this 5 a.m. protocol, it's hard to get up at 5 a.m., particularly starting off. And the little trick is set your alarm for 5 a.m. and the second it goes off, I put my phone in the other room, I'm straight up and I'm turning it off. I don't even lie in bed enough to give myself time to think about, oh, I can lie in bed for an extra 5 minutes. The alarm goes off at 5 a.m. I am up at 5 and I'm dressed by 5:01. And that works so well. And then The first thing that you do after waking up is you do a 20-minute workout and you make yourself sweat. This is part of the protocol in this book. And yes, okay, it is uncomfortable at first. It is really uncomfortable, but you're just exercising like your discipline. You just get on with it. Start off with 10 push-ups is what I do to start off the workout. And it's horrendous to start with. It's really not fun. I don't make myself a coffee before, literally straight into it. But once you've done the first 10, it just gets easier and easier. And after it, you feel great. And once that's like the hardest part of the day, generally, getting up at 5 a.m. and just going straight into the workout whilst your body is like still asleep. Everything else is easy after that. Like it really is. There's like, I feel I've got the hardest part of the day done within the first 20 minutes. And also you feel great straight after it. You really do. So another really interesting point is that a messy environment lowers your self-control as well as steals your cognitive bandwidth. And that's why so many so-called geniuses wear the same clothes every day. They want to keep structure in their lives. I'm sure people know the Zuckerberg example of the grey t-shirt, and I believe it was Steve Jobs as well. So rather than wasting your brain power on sort of decisions that really don't matter, you can sort of outsource them to keep your mental CPU, your mental bandwidth completely clear. And I try to do this as much as possible as well. In the process of getting a cleaner a maid, let's say, who comes every single day, she'll pack my gym bag for me. She will unpack the gym bag. She'll take care of everything around the house so that it's always a completely clean environment. And I just don't even need to think about anything at all. Like she literally will handle everything for me that's house related and things like this that can be automated, just so I'm making sure that any brain power that I use, because you have a limited amount of brain power every day, that I'm putting it towards problems that are like they're valuable problems, right? You don't want to waste your mental energy on anything that isn't important. So, and now we're actually getting into where like some of the information on actually waking up at 5 a.m. starts to come in. And bearing in mind, just to add into what I was talking about, it's in location 3857. I think that means line 3857. Is like you noticed before, mainly I was listing off quotes to you that I noticed. Now we're actually getting into what the actual protocol is and what you need to do. So this is what I meant when it's filled up with quite a lot of fluff. So it talks about, first off, turning off all notifications, deleting apps of constant announcements. I actually do that already. So now it's talking about the implementation of the protocol. For 90 days, you schedule yourself to set the first 90 minutes working on one activity that when completed, it will put you in like a world-class position in your field. That 90 minutes must be completely free of any noise or interruptions. Focus sessions I was talking about. So it says to implement that protocol, do 90 minutes for 90 days. And then after that, you use a timer and you do another 60 minutes for a tight bubble of focus. And they're saying that will give you the best possible results. I've been following a protocol like this. I've made slight adjustments to it, but it's good. It does feel good. About making yourself like yourself being world class in a particular field, I'm not following that directly because I work on multiple different projects and things change. I'm sort of prioritizing what is the highest value task for me at a particular time. And then one of the great ways is to focus on making consistent 1% wins and micro achievements. Again, this is explored massively in another favorite book of mine, which is Atomic Habits. And then they talk about something called the victory hour, which I discussed very quickly, but it means in the first hour of waking up, you do a 20-minute workout, you make yourself sweat. After the first 20 minutes, you then spend 20 minutes on mindset and I guess sort of preparing yourself for the day. So that is when I would actually sit down at my computer, bearing in mind I don't check my phone or anything like this. I'll do a 20-minute workout. This morning I actually did a yoga flow and it felt really good to stretch my body because I'm often sitting down at least for 4 hours per day at the moment. Once I do the first 20-minute workout, I'll make a coffee and I will come in here and I will complete my Notion morning routine as well as my mindset habits and all of the habits that I can do that are related to preparing myself for the day. So that's what you spend the next 20 minutes doing. I also fill out a little journal, again, about freeing up your mental bandwidth, just to note down anything that Anything that I'm thinking about is literally, it's usually a load of rubbish. I don't actually go back to it at all, but I would just let myself just freely type out whatever thoughts are on my mind, to clear up my mental space. You can also do a little bit of meditation as well. I'll be completely honest, I'm not a huge meditator, but I do breathing exercises. There was one that I shared before, which is where you can do a double inhale to increase the amount of oxygen in your system. And so for each exhale, you actually inhale twice. So an example would be, and I will do that for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes each morning. And then for the final 20 minutes, you spend it reading. So that's why I've been doing so much reading recently. I will sit inside in my living room. I'll sit on the sofa and just drink my coffee and read. I will also go way over 20 minutes as well. Generally, I really get into a book. So I will read for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then I'll go off to the gym and do my morning workout. And then I'll go off to a sauna and steam room. Then by the time I come back, I'll have breakfast, I'll have another coffee, and then it's straight into the first 90-minute focus session. Yeah. And then they also recommend following 5 targets that you wish to accomplish each day. I actually write that down in my morning template. I can share the Notion morning template as well if people are interested. Then it talks about eating whole foods, proper sleep quality, and intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, I generally actually follow anyway whenever I'm waking up early. I'm in bed by 9 p.m. and I'm waking up at 5, and I don't eat anything until about 12 o'clock. So generally, I just naturally implement intermittent fasting without actually meaning to. And of course, like for whole foods, eating good quality food is very important, and proper sleep as well. These are really is very basic recommendations, right? Who isn't going to recommend good quality sleep? And then at the end of the day, they recommend doing a 1-hour nature walk, which is something I've also been implementing. Fortunately, I have a park. I live literally just opposite a park, so I can go and walk there in the evenings. Then some basics about delegating tasks, which of course is also important. They also mention about getting massages twice per week. I actually used to do massages twice per week as well, and I will also get back into it. So not a relaxing massage as well. It will be a sports massage. They recommend to study for at least 60 minutes per day, which I also do, and I definitely recommend that as a habit as well. And then they also talk a lot about having balance in your life. So every quarter, take time off. And after you've taken that time off, it may seem unproductive because in our mind, we're sort of trained that, or at least I always felt this way, that if I'm not working, if I'm not doing something that is not productive, I forget what the saying is, but a good lumberjack spends time sharpening his tools, right? It's far more productive to sharpen your axe before you go about cutting a tree rather than just cutting down with a blunt axe. So take time off, reset, spend some time reading, studying things that you're interested in, spend some time away from the laptop, digital world. And then when you come back, you're going to feel far more inspired and like ready to take on the challenge. One of the best things I ever did actually was a road trip around Europe for a few weeks, and I spent the whole time reading. And when I actually came back to go and do some work, I felt amazing. I had loads of new ideas, and it's a completely true story. And I was just ready to like attack the project. So as much as it may seem unproductive to book time off, like it's actually such a big benefit. And Tim Ferriss, I think, actually spoke about this in one of his books, that before he would launch a book and go and do meetings and PR and things like this in New York with various different publishers, he would go and book a week holiday, because you don't want to be operating on 50% batteries or 70% batteries. You want to be fully recharged, operating at 100%, and then you go and attack the project like 100%. You don't even want to be the slightest bit burnt out before you start taking on your next period of projects or work. And then another quote that I really liked, and the final one: to lead is to remove any form of mediocrity infiltrating quarters of your life. And I completely stand by this, that I try to keep my life very clean, both physically and also about who I spend my time with. I'm really quite ruthless, actually, and it's really quite hard to become a friend of mine, to become close with me, and I keep it that way on purpose. I want complete control of my environment, and I will be ruthless with removing people if they are sort of around me. Not I will just will reduce the amount of time that I spend with people if I don't feel that they're heading in a good direction, because I know that I will become a mixture of the 5 people I spend the most time with. I'm very, very ruthless about who I let into my circle, and I strongly suggest other people to really be the same way. Look at the people. It doesn't have to be about success. It can be that your friends have other traits that you like, but just realize that you are going to become a version of the people that you spend the most time with. So you should really be quite thorough about making sure that you're spending time around the right people. So, first ever video we've done of this type. I hope that you enjoyed the notes and my sort of take on things. Like I said, I do suggest reading the book. It has a lot of great information, but just a lot of fluff in it. So you can sort of skim through and pull out the best information. Don't feel that you have to follow the whole storyline going on behind it. Like, you really don't. Some of the best thinking actually came in the last quarter of the book. I think is where I actually took down the most notes. But I do encourage people, if you're feeling like you are not in control of your life, if you wake up at 5 a.m., you feel like you're taking charge of your life. I feel much more control because I feel in those first few hours of the day, I'm getting ahead of my tasks whilst everyone is still asleep. And it's a good feeling. Yes, it requires a bit of discipline, but it's a worthwhile investment. Like I said earlier, I don't follow this protocol year round, but when it's necessary in terms of getting work done, getting ahead of your projects and feeling productive, I strongly recommend it. And then also take some time for yourself to enjoy and to have some balance in your life. If you did like this video, just let me know. And I'm reading so much at the moment, so I can keep these coming all the time, just going through the notes that I took down on particular books. If you have any book recommendations, I've got about 500 books that I'm reading through at the moment, but I'm always interested to hear what books people enjoyed reading, to look at them myself. Anything from psychology to quantum mechanics to marketing, of course, to autobiographies. I love reading everything. I really do. So yeah, send over some recommendations. Thank you so much for watching. If you did make it to this point of me rambling on, yeah, let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this.